Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I am so excited about today's episode because we've got an incredible guest whose business, I have to confess, I am a huge fan of because everything they do is exceptional. It almost feels silly. Some of the things that you're going to hear me say that they do goes far beyond that because they practice excellence in every single way. They've got such an incredible client roster. I'm so excited for all of us to learn from today's guest. His name is Brendan Strzelczyk. Brendan is the founder and CEO of Cobalt Commerce, which is a full-service e-commerce agency focused on software development, design, and conversion rate optimization. He and his team specialize in Shopify and commerce-centric solutions, helping businesses operate and scale using data-driven strategies. And what I really appreciate about them is that they pride themselves on delivering high-quality, tailored solutions for businesses through strategic partnerships. They're experts in e-commerce, but they offer a wide range of services primarily focused on design, digital marketing, conversion rate optimization. A lot of their clients are on Shopify, so they provide a lot of value there by being industry leaders through their Shopify platform experience and unlocking all of the capabilities there. But truth be told, they go far beyond that. They do custom websites, apps, and integrations, and so much more. So we're going to learn from an amazing founder today. I'm excited about this one. Let's dive straight into my interview with Brendan Strzelczyk. All right, Brendan, I am so very excited that you're here with us today. First things first, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Brian. Really happy to be here.
Heck yes, I'm so excited to geek out about all the incredible things that you guys are doing at Cobalt Commerce. But Brendan, before we get there, we've got to geek out about your background. Take us beyond the bio. Who's Brendan? How'd you start doing all these cool things?
Yeah, of course. So it's actually a funny story. I never set out to become an entrepreneur. And today, even calling myself one now feels a bit secondary because what's really driven everything I've built with Cobalt Commerce has been a deep passion I've had for problem solving and programming that started when I was quite young. And I think the business grew naturally from that obsession I had with building and solving problems. You know, I remember being 12 or 13 years old and spending my summer breaks teaching myself how to code. So when all the other kids were out enjoying the time off school and the nice weather, I was just spending hours and hours learning how to code. And back then, the information I had available was really just a very large amount of YouTube tutorials and scrolling through Stack Overflow. So yeah, I quickly knew I had a passion for this. And I just spent a lot of time early on just using this as a hobby. So really by the time before I even finished middle school, I was already building Flash applications and full websites from scratch. Didn't really think of it as a career path at the time. I just genuinely love building things. So later on, I did go on to major in computer science and continue to work on more side projects throughout that time. Admittedly, I probably spent more time building these side projects than I did spending time on my courses and in the library studying. If there's an interesting problem, like I said, and I'm trying to solve, I can spend just hours and hours working on a solution. So I had this passion growing up and, started to see if I could explore this as a career. Still wasn't really thinking about building a business at that time. But at that time, while I was in college, e-commerce in particular was really starting to become mainstream. And I'm sure you remember the crazy amount of drop shipping stores that were popping up between 2015, 2018, 2019. So I had a friend at the time who asked me to help him with some custom development work for a Shopify site he was building. And that was my first exposure to Shopify and e-commerce in this way. And I immediately realized that this is something I wanted to specialize in. So a few years later, after quickly working my way up the corporate ladder in the e-commerce space for various agencies, I made the decision to leave my job and start Cobalt Commerce. So that's kind of the story wrapped up in kind of a condensed version. But it's just crazy. I never really set out to become an entrepreneur, and here we are. We have a small team. 10 to 15 employees now, and we're working with some really great clients.
Yeah, Brandon, I really appreciate that overview. And as someone who interviews incredible founders for a living, I will share with you that so frequently we hear that these greatest business ideas, they start from just play, that you just genuinely enjoyed this stuff from a very young age. I haven't thought about Flash in so long. I remember back in the days when I was using Firefox, it seemed like Flash always needed to be updated in order for websites to work. But
that's funny as well, because I actually there were these Flash games were very popular back then, and I also spent some of my time just playing like video games on. I had this. I remember I had this laptop that was a hand-me-down from my grandmother, and that's really like where I had the freedom to start learning code. At the same time as, as kids do, I was online playing Flash video games, and it really sparked my curiosity onto how this was even possible. So I really just wanted to take it upon myself to learn how to build games, actually. So I had started building Flash games when I was 12, 13 years old. And then later I actually ended up getting into Unity and game development as well.
It's so cool, Brendan, hearing that, because I feel like it shows the wide range of your skills and the wide range of things that you have in your repertoire, which I would imagine shape the way that you see business, shape the way that you see e-commerce, shape the way that you see conversion optimization, because none of these things live in silos. We can cross-pollinate and steal the best ideas from one practice and in one discipline to another. And so I'm going to use that as a segue to directly go into the world of e-commerce, because listeners, even if you're not in the e-commerce space, trust me, there's so much that we can all learn from the e-commerce space. And Brendan, you called out all those drop shipping companies that they were a dime a dozen. They were all popping up. Everyone was pretending that this was the easiest business to get into. And I think a lot of people, I remember how many conversations I would see on Reddit and entrepreneurial forums that they would talk about, I lost my shirt. I lost everything in going in on e-commerce and drop shipping, because it's not so easy. Because of course, there's a lot that goes into building a successful e-commerce brand. Brendan, introduce us to some of that, because obviously we've talked a little bit about your programming background. That is just the tip of the iceberg on what it takes to succeed in e-commerce. What does that whole landscape look like?
Absolutely. And all of those moments where I was spending learning how to write code and build my own applications. That kind of led up to, okay, there's a lot of opportunity in the job market where I can just go in and, probably write code for some company for a few years and live a good life. What I really like about e-commerce, as you said, is that there are just so many different aspects that go into it to make a successful online business. And we focus on all of those areas actually right now. So it's not just software development, which is where it started personally. But when you really take a look under the hood, a lot of those drop shipping stores failed because it's not as simple as just taping something together and throwing it online. It really takes a lot of time to understand all of the integrations that are possible, from shipping and fulfillment, the paid ads and marketing side, design, and really just understanding how to build a strong brand. And these are things that are often overlooked. So it's been a great puzzle for me early on, figuring out all of these areas that I never thought I would have exposure into. But I always think that with the experience that I've had from my degree in computer science, it really helped me think in a different way and just become a true problem solver. So that's really what we do today. Is we partner with other small businesses, or some are actually quite large on the enterprise level, and we have a big range in between. But no matter your size, if you bring us some of the problems that you're seeing in the e-commerce space, then we will work with you to find solutions based on the services we offer.
Yeah, and hearing the way you talk about it, that's just good business. You talk about building a brand, you talk about logistics and operations. This is universal truths for all of businesses. I would say that they are even more important in the e-commerce space because we as consumers, we have so many options at our fingertips. I mean, back in the day, gosh, we were limited to whatever stores were in our geographic location. Today, I can screenshot a product, reverse search it on Google, and see everybody that sells that exact same thing. And then, of course, when you layer on Amazon, the ultimate e-commerce platform, and all of us customers, we expect at the very maximum 2-day shipping. A lot of times I'm getting impatient here in Tampa now, and I always want same-day shipping. So, Brendan, it is a consumer's market here, which means that every e-commerce brand, they have to compete on a lot of different things. And that's why I so appreciate the fact that you guys put such a strong emphasis on conversion rate optimization, because we as customers, we take it for granted how easy it is to buy from the brands that we shop from online. But as business owners, I think we need to start viewing all of our businesses, even service-based businesses, through that lens of conversion rate optimization. For people who have heard that term before, but never gone deeper into it, what does conversion rate optimization entail? And I guess, Brendan, to kick it back to you, I guess part of that, because I'm sure it's a broad answer, is what doesn't it entail? Because it seems like all of this stuff matters.
It's true. There's again, like a lot that comes into play when we're focusing on trying to scale an online business. And with all the competition out there, conversion rate optimization, otherwise known as CRO, is very important to make sure that you're paying attention to. So we implement a few techniques that we're not really just throwing things at a dartboard and hoping that it makes your business better. We look at our clients' data and then analyze where the opportunities are through their conversion funnel to make a change on the site. So there's a lot of strategy and data at first, and then the fun stuff kind of kicks in where we get to take liberties in design and developing custom sections. And we tie all of that together through implementing A/B testing. So we're actually really able to see like if we make a change to one of our client sites, if it is making a positive change to the visitors, or if it's making a negative impact. And we just iterate time over time and to really just get the perfect site. It's never going to be perfect, but over time we actually notice a big lift in conversion rate. So it provides a lot of value to our clients because they can see a direct, return on investment for spending time on A/B testing and CRO, that their visitors are actually being converted into buyers who love their brand.
Brendan, I'm going to call this out. You have far more experience than me in this, so I'm open to being wrong and open to hearing a different opinion. But I often argue here on the air that all of us, every single one of us, just needs to ship something. And I think that so much good stuff happens after shipping, because the thing that I'm going to call out is people are going to go to your website at the end of today's episode. We're going to drop those links at the end, and obviously they'll be in the show notes. But people are going to see your website and think, holy cow, Brendan and his team have nailed the most beautiful website that I've ever seen in my life. And you guys also display your clients' websites, which all of them are incredible looking. And people think that's the barometer to launch. That's the barometer to ship. When truth be told, where my head goes when I hear you talk about testing is, well, I can't test until something is on the internet. And so I just need to launch anything to get data back to start making smarter decisions. What is that baseline to ship? What is that baseline to launch? Is my hypothesis true here that just anything works to get us out of the gates, or what's that barometer?
It depends on the area. So if we're talking about testing a new feature, or like even as you said, there's a threshold for the amount of sessions that you want to be receiving on your website before you can even consider running an A/B test. So we do ship fast when it comes to launching new brands, or even if we're working on a redesign for an entire website. We can't test every single individual aspect of that. And if it's launching for the first time, then it is really important just to get something up. I would say the downside is that as a merchant, you're probably going to be spending more money, and it's more of an investment upfront because you have to get visitors that go to the site. And then from there, we start collecting that data and start working on improvements. So It can get discouraging if you're a merchant who's just starting off, because it's a lot of it could be a lot of upfront cost. But we've seen success for brand new brands that we're launching on Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever it is, and we also see success for older businesses who have maybe been selling for 10, 15 years. Sometimes you might think that if you've been around for that long that you figured it out, but there are always ways that we can find to make improvements.
Yeah, and particularly when people talk about conversion rate optimization, I find that beauty is part of that conversation, where everybody assumes conversion rate optimization means building the most beautiful thing that we possibly can. And I'm going to pick on that theme because I've already praised you guys for how beautiful your brand is, how beautiful your presentation is, all that good stuff. But Brendan, what is that beauty line that we should be concerned about? Is beauty always the winner, or are there things that you look at first above that?
So it's actually funny. So when I started the business, I actually went out and it was just me. It was just me on my own, and I don't have a strong design background. So even on my own, I was doing a lot of work at the start. This was at the time where I had left my full-time job. I was spending all of my time just doing everything myself. And again, I don't have a design background, so it was really just trying to make best judgments, and I was really spending more time than I needed to in that area. But I will say that the way that I approached it was just using best practices that I can find, and I love doing research and figuring out, as we were talking about, just solving problems and figuring things out. So I was able to be quite successful on my own at the start, even without having any design support. But what I quickly realized after a few months was that I would need something to kind of take this to the next level. And that's where I looked into bringing on a business partner who specialized in design. And it turned out to be a really, really great decision, because what you see on our website now is mostly props to this individual that I brought on. And yeah, I was just doing a lot on my own at first. It can be done, but I would recommend just looking into finding the right people to help you out, where it just saves your time to focus on other areas.
Yeah, so well said. And Brendan, I'm going to bring something that you and I talked about off the air into our on-air conversation, because I remember when I had an SEO agency, the one website that we never did any SEO on was our own. And that's why I love that concept of the cobbler's son has no shoes. Brendan, speaking of shipping speed and going to market fast, I love the fact that you told me off the air that you guys didn't have a website for quite some time. And that to me says that you were so busy focusing on fixing clients' problems that you didn't even take that time internally. Talk to us about that, because I think that's a valuable lesson for all of us in our businesses, that all these things that we quote unquote need, and I'm saying that in air quotes for listeners who can't see us right now, all the things that we need, we can always focus on down the line, but ultimately the clients are the most important. Brendan, take us back to that time in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of the things that we value a lot, is the client satisfaction. So I have this saying that, like, we always treat a client's website or business as if it were our own. And that way, if we have that mindset, then we're going to go above and beyond to provide results. So I was, but the downside of that is I was really just focused in the day to day, and I was working more in the business rather than on the business. And that's where I realized, okay, this could be something bigger if I really just branched out and looked into hiring some additional support. So yes, we didn't have a website for quite a long time. It was maybe a year or two with no website up. And I realized that, okay, if this is really going to become something, and I wanted to start building into something that's an established agency and that really has credibility, the first thing is obviously we need a website. So I didn't really know where to look. I thought about doing it myself, and it was a big project. I was really just heads down, working on tasks for our clients. But around that time, I actually decided that it would be good to bring on someone to be our head of design. And that opened up a whole nother, path that I'd never been down. We hear it a lot that finding a co-founder or a business partner is kind of like dating. And I found that this was somewhat true because I had literally gone on these, quote unquote, dates with other freelancers or business owners to see if they were interested in joining Cobalt Commerce. So it was an interesting time, but ultimately, I did find someone who really aligned with our values. Their name is Nick Rose, and I quickly realized that, they were supposed to come on to just lead the design side of everything. They completed the entire website in about a month and launched it, and there was immediate impact there. I had no idea that without running, any ads or focusing on SEO, keywords, anything like that, that we would get visitors. But we had organic leads coming from the website, just from the case studies that we wrote, and just having a presence online. So something that I really didn't even think of, after bringing this person on, literally 4 weeks later, immediate value was provided. And later on, I found, hey, Nick, you're pretty good at a lot of different areas, not just design. So they actually their position now is our chief operating officer, and they really hope oversee a lot of the day-to-day business operations.
Yeah, I love that. And I really love the analogy to dating because it is so true. When you are in business with somebody, it really is like a marriage because you've got bank accounts, you've got client decisions, you've got so much of that. And Brendan, to really extrapolate that out, the other part of the dating equation in business is who you decide to work with as far as your client roster goes. And huge kudos to you guys. I love seeing your client roster and so much of the work that you guys display. Anyone from the golf industry to the wine industry to the beauty industry. I would imagine that working across industries is also part of your superpowers that you pull from. I mean, we all know, we've walked into a Sephora, we see how marketing oriented the beauty industry is. And I think that your team's advantage is that you can take all that stuff that you've seen works, all that data, you can apply it to the golf industry and vice versa. I would imagine that you're borrowing and applying and cross-pollinating from all of these different projects. What's that side of things look like? Because I find that too many people, they silo industries and think what works in beauty must work in beauty. I take so much inspiration. What lawyers are doing that's working, great. I'll implement that in my businesses. What social media agencies are doing, I'll borrow that stuff as well. Brendan, what's that look like behind the scenes for your team?
Right. It's sometimes I forget this, but we've worked with so many different industries, and even myself personally, when it was just me out on my own, I was trying to get just one-off projects and freelance work. But that really allowed me to, I've worked on hundreds and hundreds of different Shopify sites, and e-commerce sites in general. So I've already had that moment where I'm coming across something, whether it's strollers or baby toddler clothes. That was something that was new to me at the time, but it didn't really deter me. It really just made me more fascinated into learning more about how these industries work. And to your point, there is a lot that carries over when we're even if we're going across a lot of different industries. So, the work that we put in early on for a lot of these other brands, it does translate over, and it really. Yeah, sometimes it does depend on what industry you're in, and we do adjust our approach in that sense. But at the end of the day, we see the problems that need to be solved, and we don't really care about what industry you're in. So anyone out there who's listening, we're able to help you out with any of your problems.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool that in the fact that you're industry agnostic, and obviously so much of your work is within the Shopify realm, but you guys even go beyond just the platforms, and I think that's really cool. But Brendan, I've got to go here with you while we're on the air together because it's the elephant in the room in every single conversation in 2026, and that is, of course, AI. You and I have spent so much time talking about the powers of the fact that you got into coding and programming from such a young age. A lot of people in the mainstream conversation are now saying that those skills are completely redundant, that AI is going to replace so many things. What's your take on that?
So I use AI tools very regularly, and so does our team. I'm all for the advancements that are coming up these days. I will say that a lot of what I did learn early on when those tools weren't available was how to identify and solve a problem. I think that that's where AI might fall a little bit short these days. It's very good at solving some complex problems and also writing code. But I think that if you don't have a fundamental understanding of what's happening under the hood and really understanding like what your clients need, then ultimately I think that you might still fall short. The way that I see AI being used for our processes is really to just increase productivity. But myself and our team included, we make sure that we hire really good problem solvers that have a good background in software engineering.
Yeah, really well said. And especially in a world where people are vibe coding some really incredible things. I mean, Lovable, Google AI Studio, Cursor, Claude Code, there's so many cool things. Brendan, how close are we to the point where people will be launching these things in a way that they're actually sustainable? Because all someone has to do is hop on Twitter and see all the risks associated with vibe coding today. But what's your take on what the future looks like there?
So I actually have a funny story that I just thought of, and this happened last year, where we had a lead approach us asking for assistance on their custom app that they were building. It was a pretty cool concept. It was a way that you could order bulk quantity hats, but with your own logos and designs. And the app that they were building had a builder in there where you can drag in logos, change the colors, and then see that back in real time. What I found out when they onboarded was that their entire app was actually vibe coded. It was pretty easy to see that once we got into their repository and everything, started looking into the code. But we had to essentially rebuild most of that app. It was kind of taped together, and they just wanted some assistance looking into how to really just make sure everything was functional and able to be maintained for a long time. So I still think that falls short today, where I think even more job positions are going to be opening for I guess it's like a developer who would be fixing code that was done by a vibe coder, or even hiring managers on teams to oversee code that's being produced by AI or other techniques. So I think that's the direction things are going now, but I do think that in a few years, that the capabilities of what AI can produce. I sometimes don't even want to think about that because I don't want to pretend like I know, but I do think that we're going to see some serious advancements even past what we see today.
Yeah, it's so true. And I view it more as prototyping because, Brendan, I am not a good designer. I'm not a designer in any way. I'm not even going to say a good designer. I'm just not a designer in any way. But at least now I can prototype and at least give my designers, hey, here's something that's in my head. Make it better. Use your lifelong skills to make it way better. And I think that that's a beautiful thing that's already here today. And I think that that's a valuable addition to the way that so many businesses are operating. So love the fact that you guys have so much talented human capital behind the scenes, and the fact that you're leveraging things for productivity's sake, because on the client side, of course, that's what we appreciate from the partners that we work with. So Brendan, huge kudos to the way that you operate. I have no idea how you're going to answer this final question because you've dropped so many knowledge bombs on us, but that is, what's your best piece of advice for listeners? Knowing that we're being listened to by both entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at all different stages of their own growth journeys, what's that one thing that you want to leave them with today?
Well, it was something I alluded to early on, but one problem that I had, and I honestly still struggle with this a little bit, was trying to do everything myself. So as a business owner, I think it's important to bring on the right people and trust your team to align with the company's goals and mission. Our retention rate at Cobalt is extremely high because we hire the right people who not only deliver excellent work, but also uphold one of our core values, which I mentioned, which is treating the client's business as if it were our own. So, I would say it's tough to know when to hire that person. But I will say that, it's burnout and failure in your business is I believe more likely if you're trying to do it on your own.
Yes, 100%. As someone who's been in this game for 17 years, I can absolutely attest to that, Brendan. And it's something that I used to pride myself on being a solopreneur, but you hit the nail on the head, is that we can go so much further together. And I think that that's a really important takeaway. So thanks for sharing that with our audience. And I'm also going to say that as much praise as I tossed your way throughout today's conversation, when listeners actually see Cobalt with their own eyes, all the things that you guys have put into the world, all your client projects that you put out there as examples, there's so much good stuff that you're up to. So hearing us talk about it is one thing, but seeing it with their own eyes is an entirely different experience. So drop some links on us for listeners who want to find all the cool stuff that you guys are up to. Where should they go from here?
Absolutely. So to learn more about our services and look more into some of the real success stories that we have, you can visit our website at cobaltcommerce.com.
Yes, and listeners, you already know we're dropping that link down below in the show notes, no matter where it is that you're tuning into today's conversation. We're also linking to Brendan's personal LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out to him and continue the conversation, or you see this stuff and you think, how do I actually get a hold of Brendan? Well, we are linking to his personal LinkedIn. So do not be shy, because these guys, trust me, you'll see it from the second you land on their website. I think they are a perfect example of that concept. How you do anything is how you do everything. You're going to see excellence in every single corner. So don't be shy about checking out those links. Otherwise, Brendan, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Brian. It's been really great.